So, Xbox is losing another exclusive. That's right. Hellblade 2 is going over to the PlayStation. We got a lot of questions, man. We got a lot of conversation to get over. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Ad here, coming at you with another video. Today we're talking about Hellblade 2 going over to PlayStation. Now, for those of you that I did review the game. It is on the channel. I played from beginning, middle to end when it comes to Hellblade 2, which isn't necessarily hard. It is a fairly short game. It's about 5-6 hours. It's a solid experience. Would I ever say it's like a go-to? No. I would say it is a fun thing to download and play for an afternoon. But I think we all kind of knew that this game was going to PlayStation. There was a lot of speculation in terms of we don't know how it sold, so would it even be worth porting over to the other platforms? And I think that's fair. That's fair criticism. You know, it does seem like, you know, are we going to see it like a Redfall over there, or, you know, these games that might not necessarily have sold well on the Xbox platform? Is it even worth porting to PlayStation? I guess it just depends on a variety of factors. Do you have to hire a third party, you know, resource? Because they're already paying people like Ninja Theory money, so it makes more sense for them to do it. But when you have to, you know, outsource to a third party, that could be a little bit more costly. So I can understand how it becomes a little bit less efficient doing it. But today I woke up to a bunch of tweets, bunch of people, you know, messaging me, text messaging me, had some voice messages. People went crazy over this. PlayStation officially has announced that Hellblade 2 Enhanced is coming to the PlayStation platform. Battle Darkness Within and Without. Setsu Saga Hellblade 2 comes to the PS5 this summer. So I tried to look. I couldn't find any, you know, concrete information on like official people announcing what the enhanced part means. I don't know. Maybe you guys can put in the comment section below if you've seen anything with like a person that I could look up on Twitter. I couldn't find it, and I looked up it for a minute. You know, here's the thing when it comes to this. You know, I enjoyed Hellblade, but I was concerned whether or not it would get a sequel. Will Hellblade 2 get a Hellblade 3? You know, I think it would, because they did say a saga, and a saga usually is more than two. But you never know with these kind of things. You know, we live in an industry right now that is very, very volatile. Like, you know, right now, games could be greenlit for the next 2 or 3 games. And then it just, bam, studios closed, no more games. And I was a little bit concerned myself with what happens with a future with that kind of scenario. So it comes down to it, stuff like that I get very nervous with. But one thing I will say when it comes to Xbox and their new direction, the way that they're going, I still might not agree with it on a terms of just hardware in general. You know, I have an Xbox Series X, and whatever their next hardware is, I just want to make sure that that's viable and they're going to continue to support it. And I'm very skeptical on, if you take away exclusives that will draw an audience to that hardware, are they going to continue to support it going into next gen, depending on the sales of next gen? That's my only thing. If they literally told me, they're like, Addict, we're going to keep this thing alive no matter what. We're going to offset the prices from every other industry that we're in with gaming, and we're going to keep the hardware alive with that. But you guys have said, I've said multiple times, I don't trust corporations because they're going to do what they do best, and that's corporation. They're going to corporate, man. So like, comes down to it, this is a good thing in terms of the future of Hellblade, because right now you're going to open it up to a bunch of people that's never played the game. PlayStation, I would say this will probably go to the Switch eventually. Switch 2. I don't know. Hellblade is a very good-looking game. I would say it is easily top 5 of the best-looking games of this generation. Maybe you guys could put in the comment section below a game that looks better than Hellblade. I couldn't even tell you a game that looks better than Hellblade. Like, off the top of my head, I don't know. I feel like Hellblade 2 might be the best-looking game I played this generation. Maybe you guys can disagree in the comment section like you guys always do. It comes to me, it's like, it's about the games. You know, when you take away the hardware, you know, the hardware is a question mark. But one thing I do like about this is, because this is going to other platforms, because stuff like Fable is going to other platforms, you're going to get more sales from it, and it's going to lead to these franchises being supported better in going into the future, because it's easier to greenlight stuff like a Banjo-Kazooie or a Mech Assault, the stuff that people have been asking for years. It's easier to greenlight these because you know you're going to sell them to more people than just the Xbox consumer or just going to Game Pass. So I'm cool with that when it's related to that. Look, Hellblade's a good game. I do think it's a solid experience, and I think everyone should get a chance to play it. I will say, if you're an Xbox consumer, you're still going to get the enhanced version. They've already said as long as you own Hellblade 2, you can upgrade it. But most likely this is going to come out on the PlayStation 5 Pro being able to be 60 frames. I'm assuming the update's going to make it 60 frames on Xbox. That's probably where I would have the biggest issue, is if they released Hellblade 2 on the PlayStation 5 Pro and it didn't have, it was the only place that you could play it at 60 frames. Because at that point, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're literally not only making, other places just as good as playing, you're making other places better than your platform. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think that the Xbox Series S and X are going to get that 60 frames, because we've seen time and time again where games have come out on, the platform, and throughout time, the developers have found out ways to, free up resources and make these games run better. And I think Hellblade's going to be just the same thing. But I do understand where, I do see some people on the internet a little annoyed where they're like, look, like, I played this day one, and now because it's going to another platform, they're going to get to play day one. They're going to play at a better performance, better resolution. And at the end of the day, what I would tell people like that is like, look, that's with anything. Like I said, there's been a variety of games that you've gotten that's nothing to do with PlayStation, nothing to do with Xbox, just multi-platform games in general that came out later with a patch that made it run better. Hell, there's games that during the Xbox One generation and the PS4 generation that's getting patches to be at 60 frames. I think a Far Cry game just done it recently. So it's just like, or a Watch Dogs, one or the other. Look, at the end of the day, if you invest into games early, you have to be under the assumption that they are going to make them run better going forward. If anything, investing day one is kind of something you shouldn't be doing. We've seen how many games come out day one that completely busted, completely broken. And maybe you shouldn't support stuff like that. I do understand people's concept and people's gripes with it, but at the same time, look, I do see the positives in having something like this. If we do get another Banjo, would it have been greenlight with the past way Xbox did things? Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to take away accountability on terms of the future of the hardware, because that is up in the air. I don't care what no one says. No one knows what's going to happen with the hardware going forward. No one knows. I don't even think Xbox knows half the time. But another thing I woke up to this morning, because, we losing exclusives, but it does look like they are doing stuff, especially with the ABK thing. So let's pop over here. So Xbox announces a retro classic, including with Xbox Game Pass. Starting today, Game Pass members can dive into a collection of 50-plus classic Activision games from the 80s and 90s. Over 50 restored and ready-to-play games available for the Xbox Game Pass members. Community challenges, competitive leaderboards, all new challenges, and high score ranking and more. Collect achievements. Available for Game Pass members to play on console, PC, and on supporting devices with cloud gaming. More games will be added over time. So I don't think you can buy any of these things. I think these are strictly just for Game Pass stuff. I don't know. I feel like some people are going to get like a little annoyed with that, because that means like you have to have Game Pass to have access to this. Kind of look at it like a Nintendo platform with, because they do something similar to this with like, the emulations of N64 games, GameCube games they're about to do. They do, Switch. They do the NES and SNES. So that's kind of something similar. So look, I can understand why people get a little annoyed with this. I am a little intrigued when it says achievements, because I don't want one of those things where, we have another huge influx of people raising their gamer score. When it comes to situations like this, I think the best way to do things is, if these do have achievements, it's like 200 a pop. I think that's fair. But it comes down to it, man. I think this is good. I think today in general has been a good day. Now, obviously, I still feel the way I do about exclusives going over to rival platforms. I don't like it, but there is some extremely good positive things that comes with that kind of business practice, such as what I just said when it comes to getting other games greenlit easier. And, you know, franchises like Hellblade doesn't necessarily have to sell as good as it did on just one platform because they know they're going to open it up to more. I do think the majority of Xbox games, if not Xbox games, all of them, they're all going to be multi-plat. And I think that's going to help, you know, Xbox games, maybe not necessarily hardware, but Xbox game do better in the long run. But when I put in the comment section below what you guys feel about this, I'm very curious your guys' opinion. I know you guys thought I was going to come on here and go off. Look, I'm over it. I truly am. I'm over it. I have my own concerns with the hardware. I'm hoping that Microsoft does right by the hardware consumers in the long run, but that only time can tell. But as far as like games going over to PlayStation, we like 5, 6 in, baby. You know, we just had Gears and Forza go. Hellblade 2, okay. You know, and I took the Gears thing. It is what it is. Microsoft and Xbox are really pushing this new way, and it might work for them, it might not, but I'm not going to act like it's guaranteed because nothing's guaranteed in this industry. But put in the comment section below what you guys feel. I'm very curious your guys' opinion on this. Do you think Hellblade 2 is going to sell on PlayStation? Do you not think it is? Put in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It's always appreciated. You can always sub to the channel. We make weekly content over here. We review games. We talk about, you know, a variety of things. I'm streaming Kingdom Hearts 1 on Proud mode over there on the Addict Arena. You guys should go check that out. All that's in the description below. And until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Whoo! Been a crazy week. Crazy week.